So in this video, we're going to be playing a little bit of Vegapunk. I built Vegapunk because I wanted to just test him out, see what he's like. He's actually pretty fun, surprisingly. And you're just playing a lot of those different satellites. In this deck, though, the one I'm running, I have some of the what's it called? The Warlords, I think they're called. The Seraphims, the Lunarians, whatever they're called. The clones, pretty much. The clones of the Warlords. I forgot exactly what they're called. And then I'm running a tech in here. It's obviously the 8-drop Katakuri. Just to test it out and see, because I thought it kind of works with Vegapunk, because when you're at your 10 Dawn turn, you play the Katakuri, gain a life, then you tap 1 to gain an extra life, and if you're on 1 life, you're back up to 3. So it's like, it's a nice little big body you could run if you're at a higher Dawn count. So it's like, it kind of works. So of course I play the Lilith, right? Lilith is your main searcher in this deck. So having her in your hand, like starting turn, is actually pretty good, because you can either put her on top of your life, or you can just straight up play her to search again. And not to mention, because I had Lilith on board already, I put Shaka in my life instead, because when he attacks me, I'll have Shaka to play, and that's a blocker. And I also have Egghead in my hand, so when I play that at the end of my turn, I get to switch an Egghead type card back to active. I think it's a cost 3 or less, if I'm not mistaken, but I know I have to be at 3 or less life in order to restand it. So he's going to be playing the red purple Uta, and it's just, you know, you can only really play red purple Uta one way. There's really only one way to play her. But I take the hit because Shaka was in my life, so I get that free blocker out. And I think the satellites are like the good example of a way to make a card that can attack. Like Vegapunk's another leader that can attack. So he's like Vivi, he's like Rebecca. It's a very good example of a way to make cards for a leader that cannot attack. So like, since he can't attack, that's a strike. That's like a swing you don't have that they took away from you. So they give you cards that let you play them for free if you trigger them. It's a good way to balance out a leader that can attack, pretty much. So right here, I swing into leader with Shaka, 6-5, and I'm not scared of the Uta blocking and resting the Lilith, because I have, not to mention I have Egghead, so I get to restand one of my satellites, so it's not that bad. And I still have 4 Dawn to work with, which isn't that bad either. So yeah, with 1 Dawn, I'm able to go up to 3 life. I put Pythagoras in there, and I have 4 Dawn to play my S-Shark. So yeah, S-Shark is actually like one of the MVPs of this whole match, because of that Uta on board. S-Shark is a card that's unblockable if you put a Dawn on him, so it really stops the block. And Pythagoras is good to have in life as your 3rd life, because when Pythagoras dies, and if you have 2 or less life, you get to play I think it's an Egghead type card from your graveyard, 4 or less, and it comes in rested, but you get a free card back. So it's not bad for board fill. So you usually want him as your 3rd life. If not your 3rd, then your 2nd life. And surprisingly, I just realized he didn't block with Uta. So yeah, whatever. So I end my turn. Of course, once my turn ends, I use Egghead's ability to restand my Shaka. I think what I do here is I actually block it with Shaka here, because unless I let it go, because I had Pythagoras in my hand. But he does his ability where he discards a film card, minus 2,000 or something. So right there, I actually just out counter with my other S-Shark in hand. And the reason why I'm running S-Shark is, again, because it's a card that is unblockable if you put a Dawn on it. But you don't ever really want to put the S-Shark in your life, because you have to discard a card in order to play it. So S-Shark is usually a card you're playing normally. You can also play S-Shark off of the 1 Dawn ability from Vegapunk, because he still technically counts as an Egghead. So you can still like add S-Shark to your life. You can play him off of Vegapunk leader ability, but you're usually deploying him. You're not usually ever putting him on your life. But he played Douglas Bullet, but it doesn't matter. You may have Douglas Bullet as a blocker, but because S-Shark is unblockable, it goes through. But I think the bug, the what's it called? The simulator is bugged right now to where you can still block it, which really sucks because that changed my whole game plan. Right here, he was still able to block the S Shark swing, even though the card literally says unblockable on it. He was still able to block it with Douglas Bullet. So, you know, I don't mind capturing that because that's another example of the sim just being horrible and the people working on it just don't know what they're doing. So that's fine. It may have changed up my game plan, but that means I was still able to swing 7-7 at the Uta. I got rid of his Douglas Bullet. It's totally fine. I used the Egghead field card to restand my S Shark instead. I'm not really scared of losing Shaka, right? And he's 1,000 more than a normal attack, so even if they do swing at it and I lose it, it's totally fine. I have another satellite coming through, which is my Pythagoras. So you're pretty much wanting only your satellites in your life. If not your satellites, then your Straw Hats, because I do also run the Straw Hats in this deck. I run the Frankie and the Jinbei. So you kind of just want your satellites and your Straw Hats. You also have a card in here. I think I put Nari Cabra Arrow, because again, if you're at your 10 Dawn turn, I play the Katakuri, I gain a life. You have Nari Cabra in hand. You also have 1 Dawn left for Vegapunk leader ability. So yeah, it's not bad. So here's a good example of it where I was talking about where I played Katakuri. I bottom lifed his Giltosaurus so he can't hand cycle, and then I used the last Dawn to play Lilith, which helps me search for my Jewelry Bonnie. So yeah, and the reason why I didn't swing with S Shark there is because I didn't want him to have more cards in hand, and I didn't want him to rest with Uta. So I just got my Lilith out. I didn't want to lose 2 cards. So yeah. I'm also running the Ace in here. It's been in my hand for a minute. The Ace in my hand is just a good option to have because you're always at 2 life as Vegapunk, because Vegapunk's a 2 life leader. So it's a good 5-drop card you can have to have a rush card. A nice 7k rush card. So you run about two of them in here. 2 or 3 if you really wanted 3 to have more aggression in this deck. But he's just a good option to have in here because you're always going to be at 2 or less life. Because you're Vegapunk. So he's not bad. And the Jewelry Bonnie's in here because she's here for a nice, what's it called? Hand shuffling, pretty much. Or hand draw. My bad. She helps you draw. And of course, you know, Uta's playing the Shanks, right? Again, you can really only play Uta one way. This red purple Uta one way. So their main big body is going to be Shanks. And the Shanks just kills almost every big body in the game. And I screwed up here. I was supposed to deploy the Jewelry Bonnie with the ability, but I accidentally chose choose 0 friendly targets. And then I swing 9-5 at my opponent with S Shark. Hopefully he doesn't block it this time because again the sim's broken. The sim's bugged. He'd still be able to block it. And because I dealt damage, I'm able to draw 2 off of Bonnie's leader ability and discard 1 card. What do I discard? Do I discard Lilith or do I discard Portgas? No, I discard Lilith. I didn't discard Ace. And then I end my turn and restand with Egghead. And the whole reason why I was only swinging 1 at a time is because I didn't want to lose all of my characters. Because again, Vegapunk can't attack, so I have to use my characters wisely when I swing with them, because if I lose my characters, I lose my offense. So, an Egghead really helps with that. If you really want to save your characters, you only want to swing with 1 character at a time, that's fine, because then you can restand them with Egghead. Now, we're both equal life. Of course, he's going to swing at me with Shanks, that's an obvious, and leader. He swings at me for 5. I think I out-counter, actually. Yeah, right here. No, he just passes his turn. Okay, that's fine. So I'm always going to be putting a Dawn on Jewelry Bonnie because that's the ability that lets me draw 2 trash 1. Because it helps you really with your hand. Like you get to pretty much draw. You draw 2 trash 1, but you still draw. So pretty much what I was doing was pretty much calculating how much I had left. I choose to deploy a card. I deployed my other Bonnie, so since I have 2 out, I get to do the ability twice, so I draw 2 cards. And then I just put all my Dawn onto S Shark, do 12 to 5. And I don't remember if he blocks it or not. But I do remember this game. This guy I was playing was like really slow. Like he took a long time to do his moves. So he finally lets the ability go through, or the swing go through, so my abilities go through. I trash the Jinbei. The Jinbei's there to help me return a 4 or less, and then I add it to my hand when I trigger it, and then I choose to trash Pythagoras. And I kept the Nami because I wanted to KO something, not return something. So, of course, if I'm obviously KOing something, it's obviously going to be the Uta. And then right here, I swing Lilith to the Luffy so he doesn't have 2 swings. If he wants to swing twice, he's going to have to waste his blocker, or he's going to have to put 5 Dawn onto Buena Fiesta. Again, he takes forever. I don't know why this guy was taking so long on his turns. I don't get it. He blocks Uta. He minuses a Dawn, I think, to rest my Jewelry Bonnie, which is fine. I have 2 of them, so I can let one of them go. And then he used the event card to keep it immune. He took that long of a turn, or took that long of a defense just for that play. I don't get it. I don't know what this guy was thinking, but he just took forever. He was slow. Like this was a long game. So I might like edit it to where I cut it down a bit. So he swings 6 to 4, I think, at my Jewelry Bonnie. Yep. And that's a normal swing, right? Of course, you want to get rid of the thing that's helping me gain cards. Like I'm already back up to 5 cards as Vegapunk. He swings 6 to 5. I choose to out counter that. I have a lot of 2Ks in hand. And then he has 6 Dawn left to work with. He swings 12 to 5. I just let that one go, of course. And then he plays the other Uta, which is perfect because I grabbed the other Nami. So I just straight up play the Nami. And then I think I trash Edison because since I have Pythagoras in life, and if I ever get him out from life, I can whatchamacallit, have a swinger next turn, he'll kill it, and then off of Pythagoras I can play Edison. So yeah. Now I'm just gonna straight up ignore the Shanks, right? I'm not scared of the Shanks. I'm just gonna keep using the ability of the Unblockable and the Bonnie to just keep hand drawing and all that. I draw into another 2K and the Shaka. I get rid of the Shaka, no point in needing it right now. And I just restand my S Shark. And not to mention I have another 5K swinger on board. So I have another swinger, I have another attacker, that's totally fine. Best he can do is swing at me. And then I get another attacker on board, which is Pythagoras. And he only has Guild Tesoro left, so yeah. And the whole reason why I got rid of the Guild Tesoro early game is because I didn't want him hand cycling, right? I didn't want him doing that. Or sorry, I think it's just hand draw. I don't think he cycles. I think you just straight up draw 2 cards with Guild Tesoro. You might have to minus Dawn, but you draw 2 cards. So I didn't want him gaining more in hand. So yeah. So he deploys another Shanks, gets rid of my S Shark. Okay, fine. So he has 2 big body Shanks on board. I trigger Pythagoras. Swings with the other Shanks. I trigger Narukavra Arrow. I get rid of my Capones. That was funny. Just nothing but life gain, baby. Okay, yeah, and he passes. So I grab into a Jinbei. Of course, when you trigger it from life, you get to return a character card 4 or less, and then you add it to your hand. So right here, I'm doing my math, right? So best I can do is do 9 to life. If he blocks it, that's fine. But again, oh my goodness, I'm falling asleep over here because this guy's just so freaking slow. Dude, you're playing red purple Uda. Nah, I'm just joking. I don't want to sound like an asshole. I'm just being a meanie. Trying to be mean to be funny. So I swing 5/5, make him waste cards in hand. I know that I get that he could just block it with Uda, and that's just a waste of a swing, but that's fine, right? I don't care if I lose Nami. I really don't. I could just make sure to get some cards out of his hand. I swing 5/5. Again, get some more cards out of his hand. I have the Egghead field, so I can just use that to restand something of mine. I'm glad I swang because he had to out counter with Shiraya. Screw Shiraya. That's another blocker I'd have to deal with. And here's where I kind of misplayed. I was supposed to play Ace first and swing with Ace, but I accidentally added a life to my hand. A life from my hand. So I just end my turn there. I kind of screwed up there. But that's fine, you know why? Because I put Jinbei in life. If he swings at me, I can return the Uta and then play Ace because I'll have 2 or less life. And here's another misplay by me because I put a life down. I lost Pythagoras ability, but that's fine because I think all I had was Lilith. The only playable card I had in my graveyard was Lilith. So that's just a 5k swinger. I kept Bonnie up because, again, I wanted to keep the hand cycle. Or sorry, the hand draw. I keep saying cycle. You're not cycling. You're just straight up drawing a card. So he's working with Tendon. What does he have? What does he play again? Does he play another Uta? Or does he play another blocker? Does he play another blocker? I don't remember. This was a long game. This was a long game because this guy kind of took a long time on his turns. So this is going to be a long video unless I feel like cutting it down. Alright, he finally chose to swing with Shanks. Of course, I just take it. I choose to return the Uta. I think he's just going to play it again, but that's fine. That's done. He has to waste to play it again. That's totally fine by me. Totally fine by me. And then he plays into Guild Tesoro. But I draw into the Nami. I draw straight up into the Nami. But I use the Vegapunk ability, so I have more Dawn to work with. Trash the Jinbei, KO the Uta. Play Ace. Swing with Ace. 11-5. Now, he only has 1 Dawn up, which means it's probably going to be a Radical Beam. And then I have to just worry about him having a 2k and then at least a 1k. But again, this guy took a long time on his turns. Yeah, so he has a Ein. He has 2 of the Eins, the new ones from set 7. And then he has a, what's it called, Union Armado, and then a Shanks. So I almost had 3 Shanks out against me. That's crazy. But the Eins, if you don't know, the Eins bring a card down to 0, like 0 attack power. So yeah. It's a pretty situational card, in my opinion, for 7 Dawn, 6k powers, and the on play ability is you bring something down to 0. So it's a very situational card, in my opinion. But he had 2 of those, which aren't counterable. He had no Dawn up for Union Armada, or not enough anyway. But yeah, this was Vegapunk, really fun, liking the way the satellites work. Some of the Straw Hats work really well with it. And then the Ace is just a really staple card for it because you're always going to be at 2 or less life. So, yeah. You can pretty much run any of the yellow big bodies if you want. You can run the 7-drop Big Mom, 8-drop Katakuri, and the 9-drop Yamato. You could run the 10-drop Ace if you really wanted to, but then you don't have a Dawn up for your life, like your leader ability. So, like, that's up to you. But, yeah, Vegapunk is really fun. Again, loving the way the satellites work. The stage is really cool. Straw Hats really work with it. The Drillue Bonnie, really cool draw card. And it's a very interesting yellow for only being 2 life. But that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to be making more. I think the next leader I'm going to be working on is probably going to be Lucci of all characters. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching.